Around 10,000 years ago, a major shift occurred in the lifestyle of Native American peoples. During the preceding Paleo-Indian period, people had been highly mobile and focused their diet on big game hunting. However, this shift saw decreased mobility among hunter-gatherer groups, hunting a variety of large and small game, and a drastic increase in the use of plant food resources. This shift in lifestyle trend is what archaeologists distinguish as the Early Archaic period. Paleo-Indian period points were lancelet styles, but Early Archaic styles occurred in a wide variety of notched and stemmed forms. One such style is the Pinetree point, which is what I'm replicating. The stone I'm knapping is Buffalo River chert. This chert occurs in west-central Tennessee and can be found in tributary rivers and streams to the east of the Tennessee River. Pinetree points are found throughout the Midwest and Southeast. As such, they were made from a variety of chert types. Fort Payne, Dover, Knox, and Horse Creek are a few of the other types of Tennessee chert that would have been used to make this style of point. Going north, St. Louis chert, called Kentucky Hornstone, St. Genevieve chert, Muldra, and Carter Cave chert were high-quality sources of stone that Pinetree points were made from. Just across the Ohio River, Wyandotte chert, also called Indiana Hornstone, was a favorite material of early Archaic knappers knapping Pinetree points. In Illinois, Burlington and Cobden chert were excellent material sources. There are many more chert sources in the Midwest and Southeast that early Archaic people exploited. Pinetree points are relatively long and narrow and usually very well made. The edges are recurvate with outswept flaring barbs, which become more distinctive when the point undergoes resharpening. Pine trees have narrow corner notches that are moderate to deep in depth. Most have basal grinding, which extends into the notches, which serves to protect the lashing for hafting. Over 80% of the points in this style have evenly spaced serrations occurring from the tip down to the ends of the barbs. Pressure flaking is either random or pattern, with parallel and chevron flaking, which extends to the center of the point to form a gentle median ridge. This pattern becomes more accentuated with resharpening. Pinetree projectile points are a style which is lumped into the Kirk cluster, a group of similarly shaped corner notch points which are found together in the same archaeological context, called the Kirk horizon. Other styles of point associated with the Kirk horizon include Kirk corner notched, Kirk stemmed, Stillwell corner notched, and Charleston corner notched. Other stone tools that are part of the Kirk horizon toolkit include chipped adzes or celts, unifacial end scrapers and side scrapers, and distinctive long-shanked bulbous-based drills. The aforementioned drills are some of the earliest in North America and may be associated with an increase in working bone and wood. The Kirk horizon itself spans a larger geographic area than Pinetree points, extending east from the Mississippi River all the way into New York and into the southeast. Early Archaic people hunted animals from the size of elk and deer all the way down to rodents and fish. They even harvested freshwater mussels at some sites, something not done in the Paleo-Indian period. They also intensely used plant resources for food, especially tree nuts. Hickory, hazelnut, walnut, and acorns were gathered as a food resource. The Swan's Landing site is a well-known early archaic Kirk horizon site. Located along the Ohio River in southwest Harrison County, Indiana, the site is known for having many finished points and flintknapping debris. Since its location is under alluvial deposits of soil eroding into the river, numerous collectors visited the site over the years, some amassing large collections. However, in 1986, Indiana University conducted test excavations at the site to get a scientific understanding of the activities that occurred here. Swan's Landing is associated with large deposits of Wyandotte chert, also known as Indiana hornstone. The reduction of high-grade nodules of this chert into preforms and finished projectile points seems to be the focus of prehistoric activity here. While there is evidence for preforms being produced here and then being taken away, there's also an unusually large number of finished points at the site. This seems to be the product of retooling, the act of replacing knife blades and projectile tips, but the majority of points at Swan's Landing seem to be in the middle of their use lives, not at the end, when they were simply too damaged or small to be useful. Nor do the points here seem to be cached, but simply left on the ground surface at the time of their production. This pattern may be the result of the mobile lifestyle that people in the early archaic period led. These people did not live in one place year-round, but moved from area to area as seasonal resources became available. In this way, they made a yearly round, usually with the same locations being used for the same resources. Because of their mobility, early archaic people may not have been near flint outcrops for extended periods of time. So when they came to places like Swan's Landing, they replaced all of their tools with fresh ones, when convenient rather than when necessary. Considering that these people may have been away from stone sources for a while, they replaced their stone tools whenever the opportunity was present, to ensure that their tools lasted as long as possible. Wyandotte chert's particular abundance in this area would have let early arcade people replace tools sooner than those people who lived in stone poor areas. While it may seem wasteful to throw away points only half used, keep in mind that handles and ladle dart shafts or foreshafts would require much more time and effort to make than a biface. Swan's Landing may have served as a base camp for the people who used the site, but it is hard to say how long they may have stayed. We know for sure that it was an important place for them to quarry stone and make tools. For my notches, I am using a bison rib pressure flaker. Since the rib has thin, flat, yet strong sides, these make good notchers. I then use my deer antler indirect percussion tool to finish the notches. Note that I am very careful in how I place my indirect percussion tool. If it touches the sides of the notch, it could very well grab these edges when I strike the tool, snapping these portions off. I am also using a thin, nearly worn out leather pad, unlike the fresh one I was using earlier. For notching, you don't want so much cushion, because if the point is pressed into the pad, it may break more easily. With the notches finished, now what that's left is to define a recurve shape in the blade and serrate it. I leave the blade wider than my final shape before notching, so I can compensate for any errors. I use the same bison rib notching tool for making the serrations. It is important to have a smooth irregular edge when putting the serrations in a point, and thick spots and gouges will impede even spacing between the serrations. After the desired depth of the serration has been reached, I carefully remove tiny flakes from the ends to make them less square and more triangular. The point is finished by abrading the base smooth and the insides of the notches with a coarse flake, which was done off camera.